Okay. For everyone that can't make it, I know they'll appreciate the recording. So tonight's topic is just about working the business when you're busy, which applies to everyone because you're all busy, whether you're working full time or you have kids or you're in school full time or a combination of those. We're all busy. And I know that at one point you get to a place where you're like, okay, how do I work this business when I'm busy? So I'm going to start out with some tough love, and then I'm going to lead into some tips. This is actually some content that I got from someone that's mentored me, and it was really helpful. It met me where I was. And so I was just thinking about the season of life that a lot of you guys are in right now that are listening live or listening to the recording. And I just felt like it was really appropriate. So the content, though, being that it is about working the business, this is definitely more so directed towards hobby coaches that are actually tracking their business activity or business builders. So if you're really just in this for the discount or in it for the hobby and you're kind of just dabbling in the business here and there when you have time, obviously this is still great information in case you decide to jump in at a later time. But just keep that in mind that that's who this is directed at. So don't get overwhelmed, but you're still obviously welcome to listen in. So just be open-minded with all this content. But so number one, with working this business when you're busy, first and foremost, you've got to make the decision just to do this. And sometimes that looks like literally committing and then figuring it out as you go. For most of us, that's how this is because we don't know how it works when we get started. But it's making the decision that you're going to create success no matter what, even if that means falling on your face and failing forward, which if you're doing that, then that's awesome because it means that you're trying. But simply having the mindset that, okay, I'm not sure how this all works, but I'm going to figure it out as I go and I'm going to make this work. So I say this all the time that mastering your mindset is so important, whether that's being positive or determined or both. But it really does start with a mental decision. There's a quote that I think is important for all of us to remember making this decision is that many things are not equal, but we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Because it's really easy for us to list off all of our excuses. And I actually really don't want to use the word excuses because family is not an excuse. It's a blessing. It's the reason that propels us forward. But we all have a full plate. We all have demands on our lives. That's probably a better word for it. We all have a lot of demands. Your plate is probably very full, maybe even overflowing. But we've got to remember that we all have the same 24 hours in our day is what we make of it. So try to keep that mindset and also learn to change your verbiage to take responsibility for your time. I've had to do this instead of saying, okay, all these things have happened in my day, and as a result, I couldn't do A, B, and C. If you change your verbiage and your mindset to taking responsibility for that and saying instead, I didn't make the time or prioritize getting A, B, and C done, knowing that you're going to have that mindset can sometimes it can change our actions moving forward. And then it also motivates us moving forward to make adjustments as we need to. So anyways, you've got to have a determined mindset, making the decision, but also the mindset of taking responsibility for your time. There are tons of different ways that you can get creative with your time that many coaches that have had even 10 times more than me going on and creating successful businesses have done. I'm going to give some of those tips later, but there are ways to be creative. So I want to challenge you guys with that information to, if you haven't really just said out loud that you're going to make the decision to do this, no matter what that looks like, do it. And then make a plan, and then back it with action. Okay, so the second thing that I want to challenge you guys with is your why. And if you're a brand new coach, you might not even fully know what your why is yet. But it's so important that you figure out the reason for doing this. the reason that you're going to hustle when things get hard, the reason that you're going to fail forward and get uncomfortable and be resilient. You've got to figure out your why and keep it ever present before you, so that on those days you're reminded of why you're doing it, or on the days that you are not going to take responsibility and kind of avoid that mindset of being your own boss, that you're like, okay, this is my job. I need to honor the reason that I'm doing this and get to work. So your why could be having the freedom of time, having more time to be present with your family, or to do things that you enjoy, or to have the freedom, or to have creative freedom. I know that that's important for a lot of people, to make more money, to alleviate financial stress in your life, to pay off debt. Whatever it is, if you haven't fully figured out your why yet, take some time to even bullet point it out, but dig deep, go below the surface of, well, I want to do this because it sounds fun and I need to get healthy. You've really got to dig below that surface level so that you're fueled on a daily basis. But also know this, that the longer you are a coach, your why will evolve. So it's something that you have to evaluate on a regular basis, but you need to have it ever before you. I think we all realize now that this is a legitimate business opportunity and that it's going to take time and effort. That is something that we're all really proud of when we share this business opportunity, because this is real, right? We've seen what it's done in our life. We've seen what it's done in other people's lives. But then for whatever reason, we hit roadblocks and we get burnt out and we get overwhelmed and we get upset that, or whether we want to voice it or not, we get upset that this business takes sacrifice and that it takes consistency and that it takes effort. And in those moments, that's when we have to really snap ourselves out of being in that, I don't know, maybe having that pity party for ourselves, and move forward and be propelled by the whole reason that we're doing it, and remind ourselves that we made the decision to figure it out. So I want to give you guys a definition of sacrifice that I read today. Sacrifice is an act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy. So when you sacrifice as a coach, it's not just necessarily going to be the easy things to be successful. It's going to be the hard things sometimes. But here's the deal. If your why is something that's personal to you and it means something to you, then you know that you're making this sacrifice temporarily to hopefully have a payoff later. So, for example, sleep is pretty important, right? I think we all really value sleep, what it does for us. I am not telling you to start sleeping 2 hours a night. That is not healthy. What I am saying is sometimes it does require sacrificing a little bit of sleep so that you can get up and work your business, so that you're not sacrificing other things that you're not willing to compromise on, like family time. I'm not going to ask you guys to give up time with your family, but what I am going to ask you guys to consider are the other things that you can give up, whether that's an extra 30 minutes of sleep in the morning so that you can get up and work on half your power hour. Or if you can give up, because I know that we're all in denial about this sometimes. We're like, no, I have absolutely no extra time in the day. I absolutely think that we do. If you look hard enough, whether that's Pinterest scrolling, Facebook scrolling, fun reading, which I know might refill certain personality types to just like unplug and do a little bit of reading if you can. Shopping or online scrolling, maybe the girls' night that you have once a month. Certain TV shows that you watch, even if you're watching it with your spouse, okay, instead of spending an hour together watching a show where you're actually not interacting with each other, how about you have 30 minutes of awesome quality time with your significant other, and you take that other 30 minutes and you plug it into your business because you love them and you want to work towards a goal that you actually have together in the long run for each other, for your family, or whatever the case is. So sacrifice sometimes is giving up valuable things, but just keep in mind, I'm not asking you to lay down time with your family here. But I am asking you to consider where you can get creative, and where you can make some adjustments. Many things that are valuable in life are going to take work and sacrifice, whether that is relationships, school that you're pursuing, a certification, our jobs. This is no different. Coaching is your job. And we're so blessed to have it. So you've got to be dedicated and you've got to hustle for your vision and stay the course. All right. So that's my tough love for right now. Now I want to help be solution minded and give some tips moving forward. So obviously your vital behaviors, we're going to start there. Being proof of the product. That does not mean that I'm asking you guys to take a picture with your Shakeology all the time and post it on Facebook. That makes us sellers, not sharers. None of us want to feel that way. So just share your life and how being a proof of the product, the workouts, the accountability from a challenge group, the superfoods from Shakeology or healthy eating is impacting your life. Share that with people. Okay. So proof of the product. Number 2, personal development. This is usually the first thing to go when we're busy, but this is so important because depending on your personality type or how busy you are, personal development helps fuel us. It fills us back up because we're in a business of pouring out into other people. So you really have to make, and I'm talking to myself here, you have to make personal development a habit. Now, most of us don't have time to sit down and read a book during the day. So this is another one of those opportunities to be creative with your time. Do your 10 minutes of personal development every day, whether that is reading a book or it's listening to audio. Multitask, okay? Your car, when I started coaching, my car radio was the first thing to go. I completely stopped listening to the radio, and to this day, when I'm in my car, I hardly ever turn it on because it's an opportunity to listen to free podcasts or to listen to an audiobook. So if you're commuting at all during the day, listen to personal development. And if you have your kids in the car, guess what? I can't think of much better to have on when they're in the car with you. What an awesome example it is to set having that on rather than, music that might be like, junky and filling their heads with Lord knows what. But anyways, turn your car into your mobile university. Or what I did too, I listened to my personal development in the shower. You can do that too. Or you can pop in your earbuds when you're cranking out stuff around the house. And then of course, inviting is the final vital behavior. It's the lifeblood of your business. If you're not talking to people, you're not going to grow. At the end of the day, if you're just interacting with people on Facebook and you are not building relationships and then pulling the trigger to invite them to something that can change their life, your business isn't going to grow. So you've got to be inviting people one-on-one, not just with public posts. Public posts inviting people to things are awesome because it helps you build credibility and show people that you're offering something on a regular basis, but you've got to be doing it one-on-one. Okay, so another tip, managing your time. And I've done an entire call on this before. So if managing your time is something you really struggled with, I'm happy to share that call with you guys later. But my biggest piece of advice with time management is just making sure that you're on the same page with everyone around you first. If you know me at all, you know that family is important to me. And your families are important to me. The only way that you're going to be successful as a coach, not the only way, but one of the main ways that you're going to be successful as a coach is by having support around you. And that might be your coach family, and hopefully that's your family at home too. Sometimes that takes a little bit longer for them to jump on board and to see that this is a legitimate business, that you actually care, and that it's something that you're going to continue pursuing. Some people are really surprised when they get going that family support isn't just something that you automatically have when you get going. But I promise you, the more consistent you are and the more you treat your business like a business, the more support that you will get from them in time. But one of the ways that you can gain that support is just by being honest with them and including them in it. So whether this is your spouse, your significant other, your kids, your roommate, whoever, take the time to talk to them about your business hours. Make it a team effort. Say, okay, I think it's great to have set business hours if that's something that you can do, but realistically, that's not something that we can all just set and have week to week. Sometimes it's something that you've got to revisit on a weekly basis and say, okay, this is what we have going on this week, me, you, the kids, and let's just go ahead and lay out our schedule, whether that is family activities or that's my work time. So sit down once a week, involve your family, and say, okay, this is what we have going on. First and foremost, put your family stuff on the schedule, okay? Then go back, put your work time on the schedule, and say, okay, during this time, I'm going to be focused on my business. Not to neglect you guys, but because we have these goals and I'm committed to achieving them, not just for me, but for all of us. Okay. So communicate that to them so that they understand when you're unplugged with them, and they understand when you're plugged into your business. You have to honor that time though. They can't just honor it for you. You have to honor it for them. That means both your start and your stop. Okay, so when you're starting, you're focused. And when you're done, when timer runs out, you unplug and you get back to whatever it is that you're doing with your family. Okay, so you've got to be productive in the time that you're working your business in. You have got to work from a list, and I'll get to that next. But just remember, honor your start, honor your stop, involve the people around you. It will show them that this is actually your business. This isn't just a hobby, and they will respect you for that in the end. So manage your time well. Okay, so lists. Lists help us stay on track. They help us if you're having to work in power pockets through the day and you can't just sit down and work all at once. They help us stay on task. They help us come back to wherever we left off. And I have a couple of lists that I recommend people use, but at the end of the day, if you can adopt some system that you can use consistently, that's what matters most. But first and foremost, what I would recommend if you're looking to build a business is the power hour, okay? Power hour really should take an hour. Set a timer, work against the clock. If it's taking more than an hour, and I have been there, then you need to figure out what it is that's distracting you, or figure out what it is that is your time suck, and then hone in on that. Usually the time suck in the power hour is people getting distracted by their phone or Facebook notifications. Okay, there are ways to silence that we'll get to, but usually the thing that is a time suck that is a skill that you can develop is conversations and inviting. A lot of people will get to that point in the power hour that tells you to invite 3 new people, and they're like, oh, I'd really rather just talk to them about something else. Really rather not have to just invite them. All right, well, guess what? I have a personal development idea for you then. We're going to talk about inviting. We're going to talk about conversations and the power of influence. And there are plenty of books and podcasts that I can recommend for you. But your power hour really should only take an hour, whether you're doing it all at once or you're breaking it up into 2 or 3 pockets a day that you have. So that's what I would recommend. There's a coach named Shay Phillips that I have a ton of respect for. Her and I are actually about the same age. She's married with a little one now. But when she started coaching, she was working full time. And she was maybe like a year or 2 out of college. So she's at a job requiring at least 40 hours a week. On top of that, she had a really long commute. So her work week sometimes, no joke, looked like 60 hours between everything. However, she was able to coach and replace her corporate job and income and build to 6 figures in a year and a half. She was very financially motivated, but she did so by doing her vital behaviors, which takes about, an hour or less, and then her power hour. And that's it. It wasn't complicated. She didn't overcomplicate it. She is very good at keeping it simple. We should all be better about keeping it simple. And that's her recipe for success. If you were to talk to her today, that's exactly what she would tell you that she did, and I watched her do it. So I know that we are all capable of doing that. We don't need to get, super distracted by the other awesome things that are available to us, like trainings and whatnot. There's a time and a place for those, but what really matters is using those lists to have focused quality work time. So Your power hour, if you don't know what that is, it's in our Coach Family page. All you have to do is go to the little magnifying glass and look it up, or go to the how-to album. And then there's another one that can help you track that inviting action. It's called the Power of Threes. If you also search that in our group, it will show you the Power of Threes tracker. I think it's in our album called Trackers, and then there's a video that explains how to use it. But that will actually help you keep track of your invitations. So you can use something like that, or you can use the business activity tracker side by side with your power hour to help you stay on task. All right, so track. And then stop the scroll. Stop the Facebook scroll. That's going to take self-control. It is really easy to say that Facebook scrolling is work, but it is not. It's good to interact with people that you're adding to your network, you know, to go to their page and like their posts and comment and be present. But the alternative to just Facebook scrolling and hoping that they come across your scroll at some point so that you can interact with them is putting their name on a list. Put the people's name on a list that you're adding to your network to keep track of them. And then every single day, pick 3 people, go to their page, interact. Guarantee you won't spend 20 minutes scrolling Facebook and maybe just see one of them. You'll actually go to all 3 of their pages, and in a matter of 5 minutes or less, you'll interact on every single one of their page in a quality way. All right, so stop Facebook scrolling. It's not work. It's a time suck. And I have to really work that self-discipline muscle to make sure that I'm not doing it either. So just like you work all of your other muscles when you're working out, or your other habit muscles, this is one of them. Okay, so stop the Facebook scroll. Leave your notifications, or leave checking your notifications, that red bubble that like our eyes go right to. Leave that for the end of your work time. As hard as that is, leave your notifications alone until you finish what you're doing. Avoid your home page. Work from your list. And if it's just too hard to avoid the scroll, delete the Facebook app off your phone, which I know is really scary, but you got to do what you got to do. There's an app called Groups, and it will allow you to link to your Facebook page. Any group that you're a part of from that app, you'll be able to log into. You'll be able to post on the wall. You'll be able to see people's posts on the wall. You can essentially interact in all of your groups, but you will not have your general Facebook notifications or your Facebook feed. All right. So if it's something you want to try, because it's just really hard, and let's be honest, we're all human, so we get distracted and whatnot. If you really want to try to aggressively beat that bad habit, delete your Facebook app and download Groups. Okay. And then get creative with your time. I already kind of mentioned this earlier with your personal development. Start listening to it in your car. Start listening to it in the shower. Another way to get creative with your time, if you are just super busy in the week and posting is hard, make some of your posts ahead of time. If you know the days, like if you have organized your month, you know that my team calendars typically come out at the beginning of the month. Dynasty United, their team trainings are organized. They tell you in advance, like if Brittany's doing a team-wide, opportunity call, you know about it in advance. Map out your month, know when your next challenge group is, notate the days that you want to post a public invite, and then if you know that you're going to be busy that day, but it's a priority for you to make sure that you post publicly, and then of course behind the scenes invite. If you need to plan something ahead, guess what? Make your graphic ahead of time. Or go ahead, if you have the mental space to go ahead and type out what you're going to want to share, type it out in the notes section of your phone, or send it to yourself in a text message or an email. And then on that day when you're totally tapped out, but it still is a business priority for you to post about it, copy and paste. All right? There is no shame in that. So plan ahead even with your posts if you can. And then pick a time during the day that maybe you don't do the same thing every day. Maybe your daily chore varies on a daily basis, but turn whether it's dish time or laundry time or whatever, into your visualization time, because visualization, or at least taking the time to just, really meditate on your why, is important. Turn those moments into your visualization or meditation time. Okay, so visualize whatever goal you're working towards next, or say your self-affirmations, or meditate on your why. I guarantee you it will also change your attitude or your mindset with doing whatever that personal chore is. But pick a time during the day, and whether you say your stuff out loud or you're just thinking about it for a moment, you can also get creative with that. You may not have time to go sit outside and woo-saw and just get some fresh air and do it. That's okay. Pick a time every day and make it happen. So get creative and figure out how to multitask. Us as women are really good at that anyways. So just be purposeful with it in your business. Okay, and then this is it. Trying to be quick. All right, tap into your team. That might sound like something that is really easy to do, but when people get busy or when they really start plugging away at their own business, they forget to tap into the team, or they get busy with other things, and it's easy to just kind of unplug from the community. But what I will tell you from my time as a coach is that the times that I've unplugged from the community, I have been way less accountable to myself and to my business. Like even with my success partners, or even with Dynasty United or my mentor Brittany or whoever, the times that I have pulled away because I've been super busy have been the times that I've actually been avoiding being held accountable for what I'm doing or what I'm not doing at the time. So stay plugged into the team. Those who are connected are more successful. That's just the truth. They help more people and they earn more of an income. So when you're part of the team and you're part of the community and you're taking the time, by the way, this is in your power hours, so there's actually time for this during the day. You're more fueled, you're held accountable, you're typically more positive, you're solution oriented, whole bunch of things. There's a whole bunch of reasons to be plugged in. But then on top of that, you'll end up connecting with people who are in similar seasons of life or have similar interests or have similar business goals. And it just makes work more enjoyable, So there's a lot to be said for just prioritizing the time to be plugged into your team and to your community. All right. Okay. I feel like I just talked a million miles an hour, I think because I did. So I know I had to start a little bit later and we're ending a little bit later. So I'm going to unmute you guys if you want me to. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask them because we have a few minutes. And it can be on this topic, or it can be, if you have any other like general business questions. All right. Oh. Okay, everybody's unmuted now. And if nothing else, I hope you took some good notes. And this is recorded, so I will share it in the group in case some of your other coaches going to pop on, or if you came on, but you ended up getting pulled away and needed to listen to it later, that's fine too. All right, you guys. Well, any resources that I shared, I will try to bump those in our team page, whether that's trackers or whatnot. And then let's see, in the beginning when I was sharing my tough love and talking about just making the decision and time management, a lot of that content that I usually share on that topic comes from the book, The Compound Effect. So if you're looking for another audio book or book to read, put that on your list. It's an awesome book, and it's going to not only help you in your business, but in your personal life too. Promise you. But I'll go and I'll bump all of those resources tonight so that you can find them more easily. All right. Well, if you guys don't have questions right now, but you think of some later, whenever I post the recording in our group, just type them below and then I will get back to you. Or if you guys have feedback for one another, please feel free to contribute and offer whatever wisdom it is that you have. So thank you for taking the time to be on here, and I'm going to let you guys get back to your family time. So we all have a good night. I'll see you on our family page.